All right, let's talk about Coatue. We're talking about one of the most successful tech hedge funds on the planet. And they've just done something, well, something that shatters decades of Wall Street tradition. It's got everyone asking one simple question.
So really, why? Why would a hedge fund at the absolute top of its game decide to just pivot, to jump into a totally new and frankly brutal business? It's a really bold move. And the answer tells us a whole lot about ambition, money, and, the invisible ceilings on Wall Street.
Okay, so first things first, let's break down what's actually happening here. What is this big pivot we're talking about? And look, this is not some small side project. They're launching a full-blown, dedicated private equity firm. I mean, this isn't just a new fund they're spinning up. We're talking about an entirely new arm of the business. It fundamentally changes what Coatue even is.
And they are absolutely putting their money where their mouth is. Get this, they've hired Peter Wallace, who is the head of core private equity over at Blackstone. Yeah, that Blackstone. And they're not stopping there. They are actively building out a whole team of experienced PE pros. This isn't dipping a toe in the water. This is a full-on cannonball.
But here's why this is such a huge deal. You've got to understand, this isn't your typical business expansion. What they're doing here, it kind of breaks a major unwritten rule on Wall Street, one that's been around for a long, long time.
You see, for decades, there's been this clear separation, almost like a line in the sand. Hedge funds, like Coatue, they play in their sandbox. Early-stage venture capital, trading public stocks. And then you have the private equity firms over in their sandbox, focused on those massive buyouts of mature companies. Two different worlds. They stayed in their own lanes. Well, until now.
Okay, so right about now, you're probably thinking, wait a second, don't big PE firms have hedge fund arms? And yeah, you're not wrong, they do. But that's not what's happening here. It's a false equivalency, and figuring out why is really the key to this whole story.
Here's the thing. PE firms are designed to be what you'd call capital aggregators. Their whole model is built around gathering as much money, as much capital as they possibly can. But hedge funds, historically, they've run in the opposite direction. The thinking was always that being too big or bloated actually hurts your returns. It makes you slow. So for Coatue to do this, they're basically flipping their entire philosophy upside down.
Which leads us to the real heart of it all. If you're going to break with tradition, if you're going to throw out your own playbook, there has to be a pretty massive reason why. So, what's the real motivation here?
And you know what? It all comes down to something really simple, really powerful, and honestly, very human. It's about wanting to smash through a ceiling. This pretty much sums up the mindset, right? It's a little raw for sure, but it gets right to the heart of the ambition. It's this idea of just saying, you know what? I don't just want to be a great hedge fund anymore. I want to build an empire. I want to be a massive asset manager.
And here's the logic behind that. Coatue's public stock fund, it's already enormous. We're talking around $20 billion. But that's the thing. There's a ceiling. It is so hard to manage, say, hundreds of billions of dollars in public stocks and still get those killer returns that made you famous in the first place. You just get too big to be nimble. So if you want to get to that next level, to be one of those multi-hundred billion dollar giants, you need a different way to do it. You need a new engine.
Okay, so if the goal is to get bigger, like way bigger, why private equity? Why is that the path? Well, it all comes down to the business model. The economics are just better. It's pretty simple, actually. The private equity model is just more stable. For starters, the money you get from investors, your LPs, it's locked up for years. It's not going anywhere. That's a huge deal. Then there's the valuation. A hedge fund has to mark to market every single day, so their value goes up and down with the stock market. Super volatile. Private equity? Nope. You don't have that crazy daily swing. And what does all that stability give you? A beautiful, predictable stream of management fees. And that, my friends, is how you build an empire.
But wait, there's one more piece to this puzzle. And this part is all about the customer. It's about those big money investors, the LPs, who write the checks.
What Coatue wants to become is basically a one-stop shop. Think of it like a financial supermarket for their investors. They already have the best hedge fund products on one aisle and top-tier venture capital on another. Now, by adding private equity, they're stocking that last empty aisle. They complete the set.
The end goal here is simple: to be the only phone call an investor needs to make. You want in on public tech stocks? We got you. Check. Early-stage startups? Got that too. Check. And now, you want a piece of those big, mature tech buyouts? Check. When you can do all that, you're not just a manager anymore. You're an indispensable partner.
It's a huge, impressive, ambitious plan. But it all comes down to one final billion-dollar question.
Because Coatue isn't just waltzing into an empty field here. Oh no, They are stepping into a gladiator arena that's already ruled by absolute titans. We're talking about firms like Thoma Bravo and Silver Lake. These guys are the undisputed kings of tech PE. They've been doing this for decades. They have the reputation, the connections, the whole 9 yards.
And that really is the billion-dollar question hanging over this whole thing, isn't it? I mean, look, Coatue has proven they're absolute wizards in public markets and in venture capital. No one's debating that. But can they really convince investors that they can go toe-to-toe with the established giants in private equity and win? Why would you, as an investor, give your money to the new kid on the block when the proven champions are right there? The answer to that question? Well, it's not just going to decide Coatue's future. It could reshape the entire investment game.